So I'm filming this after Sunday Night Football where my Dolphins took the L here, so I make this video with a heavy heart. But we're talking about the edge rushing class. These are my updated rankings. I'm going to give you my top 10 in this video, but stick to the end. I'm going to talk about some of the guys who just missed the list, but what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content as always. Let me know what you think in the comment section below where we have that nice, beautiful football discourse. Let's go ahead and get into this sucker with number 10, Jack Sawyer, coming out of Ohio State. He's coming in at a nice 6'4", 265 pounds, and having, for the most part, a pretty solid season. Not like a big banger year, and still part of this is a bit of projection on my part. But like, I don't know, you start getting around to this area in the class, I don't think there's a lot of guys that I'm like really high on. Like if we'll get to it when I talk at the end about some of the guys who just kind of missed at this 10th spot. And like I have a 3rd round grade on Sawyer, and I said a lot of that is projection. It kind of is, and he's the one I'm kind of willing to bet kind of like turns it around the next like half of the season. Even if he doesn't, he has more eligibility. He could end up returning, but he's got a great pedigree coming in as a 5-star recruit from the 2021 class. He did tear his MCL his junior year of high school, and then didn't play his senior year because of the Rona. Still ended up being a 5-star. Was a rotation player early on for Ohio State as a freshman last season. Still a rotation player, but slowly saw his snaps significantly increase this season. Full-fledged starter, which is great to actually see him like fully and devotedly on the edge, because they were kind of playing around with him as like a jack linebacker. But I'm still curious with the length with him. I don't necessarily think he's always the most bendy guy, but he's got a good build. He plays with good upper body strength, very violent hands. I like the way he stacks and sheds, and I just kind of want to see more of that. We've seen glimpses of it here and there, but I still feel like they haven't really released him yet. So with this 10 spot, not in love with this part of the draft for the edge rushers, and I'll like rattle off a lot of names that honestly could have been in this spot at the end of the video. But yeah, for now, he's my number 10 edge. Listen, I know you love the NFL draft as much as I do, and you're going to want a nice hefty watch list of players during this college football season. Well, go ahead, check out my draft guide. You can purchase it for only $30 by Venmoing or PayPaling me. Links in the description. It's a one-time payment, and you get it for this whole draft cycle and forever and always. Technically, it's a Google spreadsheet, so send me your email when you send the payment. I'll get you hooked up. You will see my current prospect rankings and big board, my full evals, and guess what? It updates throughout the whole draft cycle. So it's a great purchase, and it's a great way to support the channel. At number 9, I have Chris Braswell out of Alabama. Finally a full-fledged starter this season. Last year, really just used as a rotation guy behind Dallas Turner and Will Turner. But coming in at 6'3", 255, the cat's a former 5-star recruit, and he's showing you why. He is a phenomenal athlete, like really good first step, really good flexibility, just great athlete altogether. Did make Bruce Feldman's freaks list for his vert, for his squat. He squat like 700 pounds, which is just nuts. He can power clean 400 pounds, just insane. He's got the length, plays with good violence, does a good job of not letting blockers stay like latched onto him. Having a great year, 32 pressures. You got 9 sacks. Love to see it. And he's so improved as a run defender this year, because he was someone that you kind of saw last year in that rotational role that was fooled by motion or misdirection when it came to the backfield. But I think he's very improved as a run defender, and that this is a guy that's just kind of ascended at this point. I got a currently 3rd round grade on him. I think he could go higher than that if he ends up being a top 50 guy by the end of the year. It really won't surprise me because he has the ideal frame and the athletic traits just for the position. But coming in at number 8, I got Jonah Ellis out of Utah, baby. That's right. Coming in at 6'2", 246, what he's listed at. I don't believe it. But let's go over this cat's background real quick because he's very intriguing. Didn't know he was related to so many players that are in the NFL or that were or have been in the NFL. But he was former 3-star recruit from the 2021 class. His father, Luther, played defensive tackle for Utah, and he was also a first-round pick for the Detroit Lions back in 1995. His dad played 10 years in the league. Now he's the defensive lines coach there at Utah. His 3 older brothers all have played in the NFL. Kaden Ellis, you may have heard of him. He's playing with the Saints now. He's playing with the Falcons now. Former Saints linebacker. You got, who was the other guy? You got Christian Ellis, who is currently with the Eagles, playing linebacker there. You got Noah Ellis, who was initially a UDFA to the Eagles. Don't know where he's at right now, but I remember actually evaluating him out of Idaho as a defensive interior player. So I was like, okay, this guy's got all kinds of like roots to the NFL. So he was mainly a special team player and a reserve. And then last year he got 8 starts and did a solid job when you look at it. Because mainly he got 8 starts, but he was really in the rotation there with a lot of guys. Almost got 400 snaps, but he had 25 pressures, 4 sacks. Then this season, the pressures are up, the sacks are up, and like legitimately, man, I think this cat could end up in the first round. Like he is that good. Again, looks so much bigger than he's built, but he does move like a smaller pass rusher. Like he is all twitched up, man. The footwork looks light, the change of direction. I love it. He's almost uncontainable with how quick he strikes. Like legit Euro step. Just rare quicks and get off speed. The length looks attractive. He's always first at the point of attack. I love how quick his hands are. So like already looking, oh, by the way, nasty spin move. So already looking like, oh wow, man, this is just rare explosiveness off of the edge. So what do you not like? So what exactly do we not like about him currently? And for me, there were a lot of times where I felt like he would just stop playing. It was just kind of weird. There are just times where he stops his rush because I don't know if he thinks the play is over or he just loses track of where the ball is in the backfield or where the quarterback is in the backfield. I would like to see a bit more violence from his hands, just with how quick he is, man. I feel like when he does get stonewalled, he should be able to answer with some sort of counter and whatnot. So maybe even more of a pass rush plan outside of his initial rush could go a long way. Definitely maybe add in some power on his frame, but I think I've rarely actually seen him pushed back. But maybe just something to kind of add outside of just being a finesse rusher. But like, dude, because he's currently what, a true junior. So like already a very tantalizing skill set. And like his wins are some of the best of this class. Like someone I like a ton. Got a midday 2 grade on him. For me, he's just kind of ascending. Maybe when I go back to do these at the end of the college football season, he'll be even higher. At number 7, I have Princ Leyumong out of Florida, former 4-star recruit out of the 2020 class. This cat is 6'5", 254, so put on about 10 pounds prior to the season. And I think he's in the top 3 in terms of best pass rush win rate this season. He has improved so dramatically. And honestly, I think this is another guy that could sneak into that top 50. He's been very productive this year, 32 pressures, 3 sacks, and he possesses that length. He's got that pop in the hands, capable of knocking blockers back, just putting them on the ice skates, got them on their heels. Mean bull rush showing really good. He shows really good upper body strength, really good leverage, and it feels like he is putting it all together. I really do feel like he's doing that. It's like he doesn't necessarily possess like many initial moves, but he has really added many more counters. His hands, maybe not necessarily precise, but they're so much more active in his rush. A guy that has really seen his stock go up. He's hitting those highs that people anticipated and expected. He's been putting out a good season, and I got a midday 2 grade on him right now. I think I kind of mentioned it might sneak into that 50. Like this cat's just been, he was dominant last season, especially during the tail end, and I feel like he's just kind of riding that now. Like it's like, okay, you saw that guy you saw like during the last stretch of 2022. I am that guy, and I think he has shown that, man. So for me, he's kind of easily in this like next tier, and kind of actually creeping up on who I have at number 6. Which, let's go ahead and get into it. I got Braylon Trice out of Washington here at number 6, and I don't think he's exactly having, like, compared to last season, he's not having a similar year. It does feel like a bit of a letdown. He has been more dominant in the past few weeks, but he has been a bit slow out of the gates. The production isn't quite as much as it was last season, but still, you're looking at a guy that, for one, I think he put on like almost 10 pounds. So he's playing at a bigger frame. Not that he was someone I really thought had. I don't think he had like. I think he's got a good first step. I don't think he's got like an elite first step. But for a guy his size, it's pretty darn good, man. And he uses that length. He uses like raw power. The dude is strong. Like, packs so much power in his hands. It's like a brick going through a windshield. Love that analogy, by the way. Which is kind of funny. I kind of bring up, oh, maybe it's that karate background. He just knows how to lay them chops and whatnot. But yeah, fun fact. Haha, dude played. I don't know if you play karate. I think you do karate, but he does karate in his free time. But he's very violent with his hands. He knows how to control the point of attack. He knows how to disengage when he wants to in the run game. Does a good job of setting the edge. I think he's just been as solid as he has been in the run game. And that's the thing, man. This guy's very complete as a prospect. It's just when it comes to, like, you look at Princ, right? And I think you're dealing with maybe a better athlete. But I don't think, but like Trice is just so physically daunting, and he does have that really good, like a very solid first step. Some of the other concerns I have with him, he does consistently like kind of lose the leverage game. Isn't a guy that naturally plays low. Not the most flexible guy in the world, because that makes sense, but still, again, especially if you're going against bigger tackles, you're kind of hoping, hey, you should be able to get under these guys, get and maintain leverage. So that's something kind of hoping will get better. I do want to see him get better as just an all-around tackler. Guy this size with this type of length, should be able to wrap up ball carriers a bit more consistently. I mean, the missed tackles have not been as much this season, but still it's not like a terribly high number for the defensive line, but it's still a high number. So I do wish that would get a little bit better, but in terms of just like power, length, explosiveness, I guess, at that size, like he kind of has that. I have a second round grade on him. He is in that top 50 area for me, but I do want to see the production get a little bit better. But like I said, it's trending up, especially last couple of weeks against Oregon. He had a 5 pressure game, which was really good. Arizona State, 6 pressures. Not translated in sacks though, but that's fine. Sacks can be a bit overrated. I mean, it's still a good number, but like pressure is kind of the number you want to look at. Like what? Let me see what type of chaos they are creating. You also like to look at win rate, and his win rate is still relatively high. Let's go ahead and move on to number 5, because now we're talking about the first rounders in JT Tuimoloau at Ohio State. Just had a very good game against Penn State, taking on Olu Fashanu of all things. And if anything, dude, like that's an out-in. That might push him up even higher for me, because it was impressive. Like, he showed off his power game. Like, he might not be a guy with a ton of pass rush moves, but ooh wee, man, he is strong. I think he plays with good good enough explosiveness. Like, I like the burst, I like the length. Terrifying bull rush, and that bull rush showed up again and again and again against Olu Fashanu and the other tackle they have there. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I want to say it's like a no, I'm not gonna say, because I could look it up. The other tackle there, the right tackle, is Kaden Wallace. There we go. But he had a great game. He's coming in at 6'4", 270. Fun fact, if you didn't know, now you know, former 5-star recruit. I believe he was actually the number 1 recruit from the 2021 class. So it's not surprising he has all these traits. He's a guy that plays with actually really good contact balance. I don't feel like he's on the ground all the time. I think he has a good anchor that he can set the edge. And he's still maybe a work in progress against the run. It's not as consistent as you want it, but he has the power. He has the frame. He has the length to be able to be good at run contain. And again, I think he's kind of improved in that area a little bit this season. But again, it's all kind of coming together for him, and he's kind of had big outings the last couple of weeks against Purdue, against Maryland. He's really starting to emerge, and yeah, man, if we see this cat in the top 20, because initially I think I had him pretty high, expecting he would take that next jump. And then I was like, okay, he's a little slow starting off the season. But to be fair, like early on, they weren't playing the defensive line wasn't playing a ton of snaps. They like to keep their guys fresh. And if it's lesser competition, they're going to get those guys pulled early anyway. But still, you were kind of hoping for bigger numbers, and now you're starting to see it. So, like, he's probably going to creep back into the top 20 if he just stays on this pace. It's really impressive, and I really do think he could end up in the discussion with some of the guys ahead. Because honestly, you're gonna like how everyone orders these edge rushers, I think is going to be wildly different. I think the class might be this close at the top. Here at number 4 is Chop Robinson, coming in at 6'3", 250. Unfortunately, he was actually knocked out early in that Ohio State game, which I think it was a concussion. We're not going to really know more until later this week. Maybe even Tuesday during the press conferences. But yeah, no, it was unfortunate. He was honestly on the verge of having probably a good game. He looked impressive in parts, but again, knocked out early. Hasn't been lighting it up, but again, Penn State, they've kind of been in a position where they have been just destroying teams, so he doesn't necessarily need to play a lot. Like, he only played 21 snaps against UMass. He played 31 against Northwestern. He played 23 against Iowa. He played 16 against Delaware. He's not playing a ton of snaps, so it's not like he's getting a ton of opportunity. You'd be like, oh, whoa, is he not a starter? No, he's a starter. He's a starter. It's just, oh, okay, well, we're up. Let's keep our guys healthy. So, like, he's not really having the breakout year that I was hoping and anticipating, but he has looked good in a variety of different games. Like, looked good against Illinois, looked good against Iowa. So, was really hoping he was going to end up having a good game against Ohio State. Unfortunately, gets knocked out early. Kind of is what it is. But this is a dude that's, like, twitched up like crazy. an elite first step. I think he might be the best off the line in this class. Honestly, Jonah Ellis might give him a run for his money there, but still, man, this is a cat that accelerates well. He understands how to play low and use leverage. He put more weight on this season or coming into the season, so you do like to see that because I think getting better as a run defender was something he really wanted to do so he could stay on the field for like all 3 downs. And since we haven't seen a ton of them this year, you're kind of like, okay, is he gonna is he really getting that polish he needs? Because like coming into this year, I was like, I thought his hands could use a ton of work. Also, that I think he might have sub 33 inch hands, so like 33 inch arms. So I was like, I'm unsure about that. He might end up having 33 again. I'm just kind of eyeballing it, but I was kind of hoping at the very least, well, maybe use his hands well, even if they are sub 33. If he's good enough to use his hands, then it might not be a problem at the next level. And it just, again, I don't really feel like he's been given the playing time this year to have that type of polish. If you're unfamiliar with his journey, he was initially a 4-star recruit, went to Maryland, and only had 1 start that season, decided to transfer at the end of the year, went to Penn State, and just kind of like, he was a rotation player, but then at the beginning of the year, and just slowly started seeing those snaps significantly increase because he was so good you couldn't keep him off the field last season. 48 pressures, 5 sacks last year. So he's not really on pace to clear that, but hopefully he can come back healthy. Hopefully he can come back. I think they got Indiana this week, but hopefully he can come back and start really wreaking that havoc we kind of expected he would. But I mean, you still see everything present, like in terms of like the twitchiness, the explosiveness, the bend, like all that is there. It really, really is. At number 3, I have Dallas Turner out of Alabama, the teammate of Chris Braswell, former 5-star recruit from the 2021 class, coming in at 6'4", 242. So you look at that, he's like, slightly undersized, but that's fine. I don't think he this dude gets after as a run defender. Do I think he's a complete run defender? No, I do think sometimes he gets tied up. Fun fact, I think there are times where he gets locked up by tight ends. So I'm not in love with him technically. I have a fear that he might be a passing down, 3rd down type of player. We talked about this with like a Nolan Smith, though Nolan Smith was really good as a run defender at Georgia. So it's like, are we looking at a guy that maybe does have to take like the Hassan Reddick role where they kind of like have to move him around, figure him out? That was actually a terrible thing Arizona did. Like, just have this guy fly off the edge and be a menace. Like Dallas Turner probably is like a Y9 guy. Probably is. Because I know I haven't got into it yet, but dude's explosive as heck. Crazy bend. Natural feel for setting up blockers and just making moves and getting them to move before he even has to engage them. Like really nasty Euro step like move. And I love the quicks. I love how quick he closes cushion or space between him and ball carriers or the quarterback. And I just do kind of worry, can he be an every down player? That's kind of my one hesitation about it. So, and that's why I'm kind of like so reluctant to move him up high. Like I don't think that Dallas Turner will ever be a top 15 guy for me. Just because I don't know. I don't think I see him as a every down player. So maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just on me, but there is my take for it. Let's move on to number 2. It's Latu out of UCLA, coming in at 6'4". Oh, 6'5", excuse me. 265 pounds, former 4-star recruit from the 2019 class. And having a banger year, 32 pressures, 7 sacks. He's got 3 forced fumbles. Even has an interception in there. So having a great season. But before we talk about the prospect, you kind of got to talk about the journey, because honestly, that's his biggest concern. So he redshirted his freshman season at Washington. Initially was a Washington recruit. And then he suffered a neck injury in 2020 prior to the season opener. He was cleared to return to football because he was treated by the same doctor as Peyton Manning, right? Dr. Robert Watkins. But Washington's doctors wouldn't clear him to play. So in 2021, he served as an assistant for the Huskies, and eventually he decided to enter the transfer portal because he wanted to play football. And that's how he ended up here at UCLA, as he followed his old position coach there at Washington there to UCLA. And while he didn't start a game in 2022, he was so good you couldn't keep him off the field. Like, I think he had either the first or second highest win rate of any edge rusher last season. 65 pressures, 12 sacks. He's kind of on pace for that again this season. Like, the neck injury, it's going to be such a huge thing. That's kind of his biggest concern, honestly. That how will he check out at the combine? I feel like he's played these last 2 years health free. I think he's fine and good to go. So I'm not going to try to worry about it so much. Regardless, though, this dude is, I think, one of the premier finesse rushers in this class. He's so light on his feet, incredible burst. Even better, he has improved a bit as a run defender. Like, I was looking at some of his tape a couple of weeks ago, actually. Was it a couple of weeks ago? No, it was just last week against Oregon State. And I think his anchor is much better, that he holds up against the run much better than he did last season. I think he's using his length better. He's playing with better leverage. So he isn't just this finesse rusher who can win on stunts, who could just win with relentlessness and speed. He isn't just that guy. And honestly, his approach to like rushing the passer is truly, truly phenomenal. Like, I really struggled not putting him at one. I really, really did. Because I think when I look at it, like, my two favorite guys are Latu and my number one, Jared Verse. Let's just go straight into Jared Verse. I stinking love Jared Verse. You may look at his numbers. Yeah, he's not as productive as he was last season. You'll also notice he's up 10 pounds. I think he's a guy trying to find what's the right weight for him to play at. Last year, I think he played at 250. So maybe he wants to like get closer to that. It's like, yeah, I was more explosive like that, because he isn't showing the same juice as he did last season. So maybe he decides to redefine his body some more. But the dude was jacked to the gill, so I get why he wanted to put on more mass. Dude has one of the deadliest bull rushes, I think, in this class. Like, he turns speed into power extremely quickly. Love the get off, and I love the leverage that he plays with. He's got an interesting story in terms of how he got here, from being a 0-star recruit to just blowing it up at Albany for 2 years, and then coming to Florida State and just blowing it up in the spring game. Because I remember that's kind of what put him on the map for me. Like, going into last season, my preseason, he was my edge 10. I was like, this is kind of a huge projection, but man, that spring game, he was unstoppable. He was so impressive. And then we were talking about him as a potential top 10 player in last year's draft, and he decides to return. I assume chase a championship with this Florida State team, which, hey, they're still undefeated. So it's like, it's hard for me to, even which the production has been getting better. Like, since that Clemson game, I think that's when he really turned it on. But the win rate's still pretty solid too when you look at it. But I think a lot of people are going to look at the production not being nearly as high as some of the other guys in this class and be like, well, I mean, he's having a bad year. It's like, no, like he's still him. Like this dude was already strong at 250 and was just trying to add more mass. And I think I just come back to him trying to figure out what his perfect body type is, and I don't think I have I don't think I have any qualms about that. Like the qualms, honestly, like I had with him. I think he plays with a lot more control this year. I thought that was something he had neglected last year, and I think something a bit better about him this season. And I do think the tackling technique has gotten better this season. He's not missing as many tackles as a run defender. He's not like necessarily like leaving his feet prematurely before contact. I just think he looks better. It's just the numbers aren't better. So like, I don't know if people are gonna freak out and start dropping him. If so, I think that's a mistake. But I think it's right now kind of a 2-horse race between Verse and Latu, with maybe JT kind of like starting to push himself into this conversation as well. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the guys who just missed out on a list, because I told you Jack Sawyer wasn't necessarily in love with this guy. Honestly, I really do think he potentially comes back. But these are kind of the next guys up I have, like Jasheen Davis out of Wake Forest. I think is just like, he's coming in, okay, he's 6'3", 250, and I don't think he plays with much technique. Like, I think he's very explosive, and he's just doing kind of whatever to get to the quarterback, but it works, and I like that. He's been very productive this season, so he's like kind of like this big motor guy, but I feel better about that, probably maybe on the like in the top 125. I don't know if I'd ever put someone like that. I don't know, man. He's kind of fringe, maybe top 100 for me. We got Muhammad Kamara, who is blowing it up for Colorado State. I'm kind of intrigued with his length, because honestly, I don't think his length is that great, but he's another guy who's just stupid strong, who plays with a good first step, and just kind of outworks everyone else. Like he is that guy. So those are two guys that I'm like, I don't really think those are day 2 players. But those are kind of like the next guys up for me. Xavier Thomas has been having a solid year, but he's kind of an older prospect here. You can kind of put him in the same boat as a Zion Tuimoloau Fetty, who's ZTF. Older guy who just knows how to grind it out. Big fan of his, but again, I kind of see him more in like the early day 3 area. Maybe could sneak in the back end of the 3rd, but like I'm not in love with this class. I think there's a lot of good day 3 guys, but I'm not in love with this class like in the 3rd round, even in the 4th. I think the 3rd or 4th rounds are like, maybe I'll stay away from edge, and if we didn't get it early, well, let's find some guys here near the back, because I think there's some like solid guys that I kind of have in the 5th round area, like Adisa Isaac, Steve Litton, Jalen Harrell out of Michigan. Like there's some guys there, honestly, that I'd have no problem with. I'm just not in love with, again, that 3rd, 4th round area. So like it's kind of a weird edge class in that regard, but I don't know. You let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing. And as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.